Get my. If
Yep.
you'll release the screen for me, I'll go ahead and share my slides.
1 second. Sorry about that.
Might be able to override it.
Thank you. That is easier.
There we go. All right. Can everyone see the large SBA logo there? Give a
Yes, I
thumbs
can.
up or something. All right. Cool. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for attending today. I appreciate you taking the time to sit and talk with me a little bit about e-commerce. Got a bunch of slides here today, but as with all my classes, we're very informal. Please do drop your questions in the chat. I'll try to hit those as we go if I can see that. If not, Bina, go ahead and interrupt me as they come in, and we'll get your questions answered. That's the most important part of today's webinar. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with our materials for the day. As was said, I'm Gregorich. I'm the outreach and marketing specialist for the upstate here in South Carolina. My office is in Duncan, South Carolina. I'm actually there today, so it's bright and sunny up here in the upstate. And again, I appreciate you taking the time to come in out of that sunshine. And so part of what I do day in and day out is to further the SBA mission, which is to start, grow, expand, and recover small businesses. So pretty much regardless of the maturity or the position of your small business, we have resources available for you. So maybe you're on today and you're just starting out. You maybe trying to find the right idea and turn that into a business. Maybe you've been in business for a little bit of time and it's time to take the next step and grow that business. Possibly move into and expand the business into some areas like import export or government procurement, something along those lines. We have services for that as well. So please do reach out to us if there's something we can do for you in any stage of the business. Of course, we also have services in recovery, and unfortunately, we've had need um, to flex that muscle here in the last few months with Hurricane Helene. But I'm very much appreciative of the small businesses in our community who've stepped up and helped out in those areas. But just know that if there are any needs in the future for recovery from past, or the SBA has resources for that as well. So as we go through our materials today, you may hear me refer to some of our resource partners. We have several different entities under the SBA umbrella that help us get out there and into the communities. There are very few of us in the actual SBA office, so we do lean upon a group of consultants in the field who operate under some of the names that you might be familiar with. SCORE, obviously, since you're here today, you've heard a little bit about SCORE. And we have a very active chamber here in the upstate. They do a great job. Would encourage you to work it with them on your small business. We have the small business development centers. They cover all 46 counties of the state as well. And we have here in the upstate um, several offices that can assist you with some of the things that we'll be talking about today. You may also hear of women's business centers, veteran business outreach centers, and possibly Apex. Each of them have specialized skills in their particular areas. Veterans with the Veteran Business Outreach Center, women-owned businesses with Apex works with businesses that are looking for assistance in government procurement. So any of these are available to you at no charge. You won't be charged for any of the SBA services. So please do reach out. If you forget any of the names or acronyms I'm using today, just give me a call or send me an email. I'll be happy to get you connected to the right spot and get you the assistance you need with your business. So let's get started with today's topic, e-commerce. So You may be sitting there and have a cart already out there online and selling actively online, or maybe you're just new to this and trying to figure it out. So hopefully we'll be able to speak a language that everybody can follow along today. But I have just a very high level definition of e-commerce there, a business model that lets firms and individuals buy, sell products and services over the internet. We've all been there, done that at this point, I would imagine. So we've purchased something online, we have possibly sold something online, so we get it. We know what e-commerce generally is. But when we're in business for ourselves and it comes time for us to actually conduct e-commerce, unfortunately, a lot of us are not having the best of times with that. And this might be your definition of e-commerce, a mysterious combination of technology, hard labor directed towards a black hole that consumes all time, money, and attention within its reach, resulting in unknown or insignificant sales increases. I hear this a lot from small businesses. They put a lot of time and a lot of effort into trying to sell online, being successful at selling products online, maybe expanding a business from brick and mortar to e-commerce sales, and they find it very challenging. Um, so we'll hopefully be able to help remove some of that mystery and show you how to get some more significant results with our materials today. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of e-commerce. So obviously, when you move to the online realm of sales, you are now able to address a much larger audience. If you let's say you've had a brick and mortar location, or maybe even several brick and mortar locations here in the upstate or wherever you may be in your local region, and that's great. But you have a limited geographic footprint if you are even if you're advertising on all channels within the area that you serve face to face. But once you go online, you literally have the ability to reach the world. So you have to ask yourself, can I handle that? Can I handle different time zones? Can I handle folks coming at me with different languages and different cultures? Can I handle maybe just the volume that may be coming my way now that I may not be used to? So larger audience, good thing, bad thing. You have to kind of weigh that out. Potential new or increased sales. With volume comes an increase in sales. You're going to have a lot more product moving about. You're going to have to get more product coming in. You're going to have more product moving out the back door. Are you set up to handle those kinds of increases? Can you effectively and efficiently turn orders in a short period of time, keep customers satisfied? Have you thought about how this might impact how you actually move your product through distribution? Opportunities to showcase your full product or service offerings. At one point in my past life, I sold balloons and party goods all over the world. And I had 6,500 different foil balloons that I would sell. And so you can imagine if I had that in a storefront, what that might look like. Just picture your average dollar store and the dozen or so balloons they have in the front, how much room that takes up, the space required. Now multiply that out for 6,500 different balloons. Well, that would not be a very good experience for most folks who would want to come in and buy a balloon. But online, I could certainly showcase all 6,500 of those balloons, make them available to my customer. So that was a positive for me. However, keeping up with what was current, what we had in stock, what was a balloon that was in season, not in season, that becomes a nightmare. So ask yourself, do I have the bandwidth, the time, the resources to be able to manage the products, the services that I now have the ability to offer online? You may find that, yeah, I can put 6,500 balloons out there, but maybe, 1,000 is more realistic. So just think about it from that standpoint. There's also lots of platforms for you to choose from out there. We're going to talk about a few here in just a moment, some of the more popular ones that are out there, but you have to ask yourself, are you ready to go multi-platform? So when I say platform, I'm saying you can put things out on your website, you can put things out on Amazon, you can sell through eBay, you can be active on social media channels that allow sales. There's all kinds of different ways you can take product to market when we talk about e-commerce, but you have to ask yourself, am I ready, willing, and able to do that? Each have their own set of rules. You know, you put a product on Amazon, it has to be the picture has to be of a certain size, has to be on a white background. It has to be in a format that Amazon dictates with regards to the type of file and the size of the file and so on. And that's going to be completely different as what eBay might ask for, as opposed to what Instagram might need or Etsy and so on. So you have to be able to roll with those different formats and rules that apply for each of those channels. So, and those platforms. So just make sure that you're considering that as well. And then what are some of the additional revenue streams that you may be able to generate here? Um, you know, you may have product or a service that works well under its current format, but you may find that there's maybe a digital version now, or maybe you can go to a subscription model for your product or service that is much more viable online than it may have been when you were selling something face to face. But before you do that, you want to make sure that you've run the numbers, make sure that the switch that you're going to make, the adjustment you're going to make, the revenue stream you're going to create, make sure it's still financially viable before you pull the trigger on that. Just because it's e-commerce, it's digital, does not necessarily mean in all cases that it is much more profitable. So make sure you're doing the math before you make those switches. So some basic considerations for e-commerce that I run into when I talk with clients that are looking to set up stores. First and foremost, can you afford to go with e-commerce? Um, you're probably going to run into some situations where maybe there's some additional fees, shipping costs, possibly some management costs that are going to be brought upon your business that you did not have prior to e-commerce. There's fees involved with moving product about. Maybe you're drop shipping now and you weren't before. Shipping costs themselves may change dramatically. At one time, I also sold welding equipment online, so I imagine I could sell a set of gloves and I could ship that to the client in an envelope. But the next order that came in was a 500-pound welder that required it to be mounted to a skid and sent out on a large truck. So can you accommodate that with your website and afford the shipping challenges that come with that? Because quite frankly, you're going to guess wrong. Sometimes your software may not be able to accommodate a wide variety of shipping, and you may end up eating some costs from time to time. Can you absorb that? Are you prepared for the logistics? Kind of goes in line with what I was just saying. Is your inventory ready? Many small businesses fall into the trap of opening the doors, bringing in the inventory, selling the inventory, but not really tracking the inventory. If I walked in and said, "What are your top 10 sellers? Which ones are the most profitable? Which items have been here a year as opposed to a month?" They couldn't answer those kinds of questions because they don't have tracking systems set up where they have items with part numbers. They don't have good marketing descriptions that fit their target market. They don't have good pictures of their inventory. All of those things are very important now that we're going to switch to online. You have to translate what the client sees into a data set that when it arrives at your warehouse, you can pull that order effectively and get it out the back door. So you need part numbers. The descriptions have to be something that your internal staff can validate what's going out the back door, but they also have to be customer friendly enough to make the customer want to buy. So there's a lot of work involved with making sure that inventory is ready. Do you know your audience? You should have gone through this exercise early on in your business experience, but during the business planning process, you identified that target market. Well, the target market you've been working with face to face might be a different target market than the one you're going to work with online. It's possible that there will be some additional data points that you'll have to consider regarding that target market. So think about how that persona might change from the person who's walking in the door versus the person who's clicking mouse. And then how will you get paid? Um, Very important, obviously. We want to know how the money's actually going to make it to our bank accounts. So think about from the standpoint of how does the transaction work now versus how does the transaction work online? If 100% of your transactions right now are done by credit card face to face, then that's a pretty easy switch. But if you have a multi-step process right now with regards to getting paid for your product or your service, um, can you translate that to the same steps online? That can be an issue. We'll talk a little bit about some of the payment gateways here in just a moment. So you also want to ask yourself what type of model fits your business the best. So the scenarios that I have laid out here are kind of the top four that I see. You may have a hybrid of these. You may have something totally different, but uh, in most cases, small businesses fit into one of these four categories. So when we say the right model, basically we're just saying, well, how are you going to approach the market with your online commerce? So are you in a position where you're going to offer an online information site just to support the sales staff maybe that are out there, maybe the other channels that you use to capture sales? The website basically is just going to support that. There's no actual sales, there's no transactions occurring on the website, nobody's given a credit card. It's just that's where your clientele, your target market comes to get information, and then they pick up the phone or they come into a store or something like that. That's one model. Next model is kind of a hybrid of support online, so kind of that first one, and then have some kind of offline sales outlet for the clients to come in and use rather than purchasing online. And then the full service online sales. I mean, that's Amazon, right? You go on, you find the product, you read about it, you get the reviews, you make your decision, you swipe the card, and it arrives at the door. So that's full service online sale. And then that last one there, fairly popular, drop shipping, possibly some outside fulfillment. So in other words, I put up a website. Um, I'm selling jams and jellies and boutique items, but I don't actually warehouse any of them. I don't have a brick and mortar location. I have a third party actually ship those out to the customer for me. So that model is very popular as well. So make sure that you understand the ins and outs of each of these models. There obviously are different cost factors involved. There's different customer service touch points involved, and frankly, a very, very wide variety of profitability involved with this. So again, I can't say enough about doing the math before you make the decision on what model fits best. So a question I get a lot is, should I do this myself? Should I go out there and hire somebody to build this shopping cart, or should I use a free tool, do it myself? What are my options, and what are the gotchas on either of those? So just to go through a few of those real quick. First and foremost is probably the budget that is driving this question the most, because obviously I can sit down and get a free tool and build out a small cart and not spend a dollar, just a lot of brain cells. But if you're not into being a little bit of a web geek, so to speak, this might not be the best option for you. So just to understand that if you're using free tools, you're getting what you pay for. You probably are getting a limited capabilities with the shopping cart. You may be able to buy additional capabilities depending upon the cart. Um, you may also find that the cart that you get for free is not the cart that you ultimately need, and therefore you've put a lot of work into it and cannot leverage that for the next version. Of course, you could go the other route and pay somebody, in many cases, a significant amount of money, and possibly not get the result that you were hoping for. You could pay somebody a fair amount of money and get the ultimate solution. That is kind of a toss of the coin, unfortunately, in many cases. So if you're going to find a professional to do a site for you, make sure you get some good referrals. Make sure that you do some background check on those folks. Having been in this industry for a long, long time, I will be the first to tell you that folks in this industry are a little flaky sometimes. So make sure you are getting somebody that's got some staying power, been around for a little while, they've treated customers well, they know your type of business, and you can get a hold of them. How much time do you have? Websites take a lot of time. You have free ones, paid ones, it doesn't matter. They're going to take a lot of your time. So make sure, regardless of the solution, whether it's DIY or you're hiring someone, you understand the amount of time that's going to be required on your part. Be honest with yourself. Um, what skills do you have? Most all solutions these days can be put together without any kind of coding. You don't have to know HTML or JavaScript or any of these other technologies that we use these days to build websites. Most of them are fill in the blank, drop in a picture, and it does the heavy work for you. However, um, even taking pictures sometimes can be challenging. So if you're not an artist, if you're not a photographer, if you're not a graphic artist, if you can't bring yourself to write good marketing copy, be honest with yourself and maybe hire those kinds of things out if you want to see a sustainable, successful site. Maintenance. If someone builds your site for you or you build it yourself, there's going to be ongoing maintenance. And you have to ask yourself, well, how much can I do? How much do I want to do versus how much do I want to pay somebody else to do? And a lot of times that will drive the solution that you choose as far as the platform or type of software that you're going to use, because frankly, you're going to need to know how to get around in that software. And most of my clients that I speak with, it's a situation where um, they want to know enough where they don't get nickel and dime to death when they need to have some small change or something done. So when I'm speaking with them, I'm trying to help them put together a plan when they approach the folks that they're hiring for their sites to ask, well, how do I get logged in? How do I make changes to this website? So make sure, even if you're a little squeamish about doing those kinds of things, you should at least know how to get in and maintain the site. Even if you don't necessarily want to do it yourself, you should know how to do it yourself. Um, just for the sake of having access long term and not falling victim to that next to last bullet, which is being held hostage. Um, the scenario is if you get a custom built website that is not something that's off the shelf, then you are going to be tied to that designer for a very long time, most likely. Whereas you use something off the shelf that many designers have knowledge of and how it works, you're putting yourself in a position to have more freedom to move about with that website, get more things done. So just think about that mix as you're um, making a decision on you might bring into the fold or how much you may want to do on your own versus hire out. And as I said, like with any of these topics here, deciding on DIY or hiring a pro, just make sure you're doing your homework. That's kind of what we're here for. We don't actually do the websites, but we certainly can sit down and consult with you and make sure that you're considering the right questions and looking in the right places to find the folks who can help you the most. All right, so let's talk about the technology surrounding e-commerce. Please don't make the mistake of thinking, okay, I can put together a website, I'll put it out there, and then I'll just go hide behind the curtain and wait for all the orders to come in and all that to happen. Uh, People do still buy from people, as that last line says. It's not a situation where you put up the website, you get yourself out on social media, and everything just kind of runs on its own. You're still going to need to interact. You're going to have questions from clients. You're going to need to make adjustments to product. You're going to have to step in when things might get a little sideways. So just make sure that, yeah, use the technology, but you don't necessarily have to um, rely on it so much so that you're just kind of out of the picture. It's just not a good substitute for that human touch. Uh, when going back to when I was selling welding equipment online, I can't tell you the number of folks that would pick up the phone and call, and when I answered the phone, they would just come right out and tell me, say, "Hey, look, we're buying this off of you because we've called 3 other websites and nobody picked up the phone. You guys did, so you're going to get the sale." Of course, you also have to weigh that against the model that you have and maybe the price points of the items that you're selling. I didn't get very many phone calls with people who were buying $2 pairs of gloves, but I got a lot of phone calls on people who were buying a $5,000 plasma cutter. So think about what you have and what is going to be the best approach to help your customer base because they're going to have questions regardless of what you sell. And some of them just may be to the point where, as I said earlier, that model where you got the information online, you need to be available to field the questions and close the sale. So use the technology to help, but don't hide behind it. All right, so your base of operations for any kind of an e-commerce campaign should be your shopping cart. The scenario that you have is you want to drive all of your traffic to the cart if possible. If you're out on social media, if you're on Amazon, if you're on any of those other platforms, they're getting a big chunk of your profit by allowing that sale to occur out there on their platforms. Now, in most cases, with my small business clients that I'm consulting with day in and day out, they don't have the eyeballs on their website that Amazon does, right? Um, so it is a trade-off, but you ultimately would like to drive as much traffic as you possibly could to your site because that's most likely your most profitable sale. So ask yourself first and foremost, based on the model again, do I need a cart? Maybe you don't need an actual cart to transact sales if you're just doing the informational site. But if you do need a cart, great. Let's move into, how big does that cart have to be? Do you have just a few products? A handful of products could be handled possibly with one page and 5 PayPal buttons for all we know, um, as opposed to a full-blown shopping cart. But if you have a sizable number of products And then, let's face it, cart products or cart platforms these days are so freely available and low cost that if you're selling even one item these days, is probably worthwhile getting the cart, um, because the cost is so low to do so. But the more products that you have, the more likely it is that you're going to need a full-blown cart. How complex is your sales transaction? Back where I was saying earlier with regards to, is this a one-step, slide the card through and the customer is done? Or is this a situation where it's a custom sale every single time? There's a certain size, there's a certain color, there's a certain material that has to be selected. Maybe there's insurance or financing or something like that involved with the process. If that's the case, it's more complex. Okay, then you're probably going to have a limited amount of the transaction occur online, and then the rest will have to happen on another platform. Um, do you want a cart that offers some full service things? So, as an example, you may have a shopping cart that keeps everything under its umbrella. So the customer comes in, they give their information, they give their credit card information, and they purchase items. All of that data resides within the cart, and it never goes anywhere else. That's one way to look at it. But you may also have a situation where at the end of the day, if you can click a few buttons and that data now moves from being online on your cart and dumps into your QuickBooks so that you don't have to make double recordings of what has happened throughout the day. And then you've got other systems, such as like a Square point of sale system, where you're operating your brick and mortar sales. You're also getting your online sales. Those are filtering into the back end data for your point of sale. And now you have one uh, um, platform that you can see all sales, both e-commerce and not. So you have to ask yourself, how much do I want to accomplish with the shopping cart software as well? I mentioned earlier, there's really no coding involved with most of the tools these days, but you can still hire people to do a fully customized shopping cart if you choose to. If your process is that complex, you may have to go that route. But for the most part, most of you should probably find a cart platform out there that probably fits your particular needs. With regards to interactivity with other platforms, I mentioned the ability to drop data into the financial back end of your business, like a QuickBooks or something like that. But there's other things like search engine optimization, analytics, those kinds of operations that truly make a website successful. You need to be able to um, integrate your shopping cart with some of the other tools out there. So something as simple as Google Analytics, which keeps track of traffic that's coming and going. You want to be able to hook that up to your shopping cart. So ask yourself, what other things do I want to be able to speak the language, so to speak, of my cart, and how do I get those um, to come together? Some of the popular carts on the market, again, when I'm working with small businesses out and about, these are the ones that come up the most. You see several over there on the right-hand side. Probably Shopify, WooCommerce, if you're a WordPress-based site, which is the number one site building uh, or site building software out there right now. Those are probably the two we run into the most, but you'll find Squarespace, you'll find Square, the point of sale system out there. You have to find the one that fits. So it's not all carts are created equal, and then frankly, there are some carts out there that are not as well known that do just as good or not, and um, would possibly be a better match for you at a better cost. So don't assume that you have to go with the marquees, although the marquees will probably give you access to a lot wider variety of folks who can help you with that. And also, there will be a lot more self-help available to you out there. You'll find a whole lot more YouTube videos out there on how to fix a WooCommerce card or Shopify than you will some lesser name in the space for carts. Excuse me. So transactions, thinking about how those work through your business. I gave the example earlier of shipping a pair of gloves versus shipping a 500-pound welder. Think about the variety of items that you have and whether or not that's going to be a problem. The cart must be able to handle that. You may actually find that something that you need to ship that you carry in your portfolio is not shippable on a UPS truck or FedEx truck or postal service. Um, you're going to have to address that. Maybe it's not an item you put online for online sales. So think about those kinds of things. Taxes, sales tax in particular, gets very complex when we're selling um, state to state, worldwide. There's other types of fees and things involved with international sales that maybe you haven't had to address at this point selling brick and mortar. So make sure you're well versed in what that takes, and you may simply decide, you know what, there are particular markets or a particular geographic footprint that I'm willing to stay within, and I'm not going to sell any further than that. But just keep in mind, 96% of the retail market lies outside of the United States. So there's a very, very large potential outside of the borders. So exporting is a good thing. You might sit back and give that some consideration. We do have folks that can help with that. So if you're thinking exporting might be in your future, please do reach out. We do have some consultants who can help with that aspect of growing the business as well. Customer service, you are going, as we said earlier, you're going to be facing larger volumes. You're also going to be facing folks from different walks of life and different places in the United States. So make sure that you're aware of how you're going to handle that as well. And you may be forced to have policies that you didn't have in the past. In many cases, if you're going to be using online transactions with credit cards and the like, you will be forced to have return policies and privacy policies and those types of things published on your site that maybe you haven't had in the past. Getting paid, we mentioned that earlier. Uh, take a look at how you get paid. See if you can digitize that. What are you comfortable with? Some of your carts have internal processing, like they may or may not force that. Some of them will give you the option, but you can use your own. Others may say if you're going to use our cart, you're going to use our processing. You can use your merchant accounts through your bank. You can use your existing payment services through many of the carts out there. Um, if you're doing B2B, you might need to set up a purchase order scenario on your website. And then, of course, there's all the quote unquote old fashioned ways of certified checks, wires, and cash on demand. You don't see COD too much anymore, but in some countries, cash at the point of delivery is a thing. So again, if you're going to go outside the United States, you might find that that is something to revisit. So search engine optimization gets us more into some of the mechanics of things. I don't spend a lot of time on that in this particular class, but we do have a class on digital marketing and search engine optimization. If you're interested in diving a little bit deeper into that, check out our calendar. We'll probably be offering that nearby at some point here in the near future. But understand that you have a wide variety of places to apply search engine optimization, which is basically making sure that you're doing all the right things to get the correct attention of the search engines. And this is no longer something that requires Um, a lot of geekiness. This is something that most of our users can do on their own. There's a lot of good practices, best practices that you can apply and put yourself in good stead with regards to search engine optimization. Regardless of the marketing class that you take with me, you will hear me say at least one time, don't spend a dime on marketing that you can't track. Well, website is marketing, so you better be tracking what's going on that website. Several different ways to go about that. You'll find that all of the different channels that you can use, you see there, Google, social media, some of your e-commerce platforms, they all have tracking data about what's going on behind the scenes, who's coming, who's going, and all of those things. And you'll get some data points like you see here. How many people are coming, how many people are coming and immediately leaving, how many carts are being abandoned, whatever in those carts when they are abandoned. All these good things are there to help you make your cart experience not only better for the customer but also for you. You want to translate as many visits as you possibly can to sales, right? So don't just look at the number of people visiting the site and go for the quantity of people coming. You want to make this a quality visit, and you cannot do that if you're not monitoring the analytics. So again, that's a topic that we cover in some of our more in-depth classes. Um, Email campaigns. If you have a website, you should be capturing email addresses, getting permission to use said email addresses to do future email campaigns. So make sure you're using that to assemble a good list and get the information so that you can cycle through that and hopefully get some return sales back to the website. And those repeat sales will help you um, grow the business. So if you're not familiar with how to go about this, there's several tools out there. Constant Contact is probably the biggest one out there on the market that we see. MailChimp is one that's very popular as well because they have a free number of email addresses that you can use up to a certain number. I think it's like 500 email addresses. You can use that one for free. HubSpot is a customer management system where you can not only do email but also do some other outbound marketing things. Of course, you can also use QuickBooks and Outlook and those types of tools to get emails out there as well. Video sells. So if you're going to consider e-commerce, you need to consider getting in front of the camera, whether that's you personally or your product. Get your information as soon as you can into a video format. That will help you from search engine optimization to just getting eyeballs onto the website. People like to consume data in video form, so it doesn't have to be fancy. I mean, we've all seen YouTube videos at this point. Um, Rarely are they what I would consider professional. So I'm not saying just wing it, but certainly practice a little bit, and you will likely see that you can come up with some good quality content to help your e-commerce success. Social media obviously is also a large part of driving traffic to the website, but do be intentional about that. Don't just post. You should be posting to drive the traffic back to the website. Don't assume that if they see your brand or if they see your product, they automatically know, oh, I need to go to this website to get that. Make it easy on the customer. Make sure you're always pushing that traffic back to the website. Again, that's where your most profitable sales will be. And make sure that you're using it in a way that's effective. You can actually create content on your website that will automatically post out to some of your social media platforms. You don't have to touch it twice. So those are all tricks of the trade that will save you some time in that maintenance that we talked about earlier. Blogging is a thing. It's been a thing for a very long time, but the primary reason I mention it in our e-commerce class is because the search engines don't do well with pictures. They don't do well with video. They do really well with text. So if you can incorporate some form of regular text updates to your website, aka blog, you will put yourself in a better position to rise up the ranks of the search engines. So again, taking our SEO class, we will talk about how to improve your placement through the use of what you actually write, the content you create for a blog. And then last and certainly not least is cybersecurity. If you're going online, you're selling online, then you have a situation where you are responsible for the data that you are receiving. Um, a lot of folks don't realize that the information they're receiving it has value, and your hacker base will find a way. And small businesses are a very large target. We fall into the mistake. A lot of our small business clients fall under that mistake of, well, I'm so small, nobody really cares about what I have. That's not the case. You are an easy gateway, and especially if you are using you have a business that is actually working with larger entities, government entities, and the like. You may be just the doorway that the cyber criminals are looking for to find their way on up that ladder, on up that pipeline to get to the ultimate target that they're trying to crack. So just make sure that you understand you are a target. You do have data that is valuable, and you have a business reputation. You're working really hard to build that business reputation, not just for what you're selling today, but ultimately the long-term value of the business. Don't lose it over an errant click of the mouse or not being protected with some of the simplistic things. And again, these days, this does not require a degree in cybersecurity. It does not necessarily require big checks. There are a lot of very simplistic things you can do as a small business owner to protect yourself in that realm of cybersecurity. So I would suggest, if you don't know what you don't know in this particular area, reach out. We do have cybersecurity awareness classes that we do from time to time, and our resource partner network also does a lot of in cybersecurity. So we can get you connected with some folks who can help you make sure you're doing the most that you possibly can to protect yourself out there. As far as any resources, I've mentioned a lot of different products and names and brands out there today. Of course, we don't endorse any singular tool. We just want to make sure that you have some that you can go out there, do some research on your own, find the things that you need. But certainly, if you get up against the brick wall there and you're not quite sure how to do an assessment or what tool might be the best, we can help you with that decision making process. But I've listed some things here that you can get out there and take a look, get a little bit deeper on your own. But please do make a phone call if you need some help with that. So, do we have questions in the chat? I was not able to see the chat during the presentation. Are there any questions?
Hey, thank you. That was a lot of information. Thank you for sharing it with
Yes.
us.
Hmm.
Um, there is one question from an attendee who is saying that they sell it from their products from Amazon and their website, and bulk of the sales is coming from Amazon. So should that person still direct traffic to their website?
I would still direct traffic to the website as much as I could. So I'll give you an example. Again, going back to the days of selling balloons and party goods, I may get that sale through a lesser profitable source, but anytime that box went out, shipping the goods that they purchased, they received something in the box that was maybe the next seasonal special was coming up, and that seasonal special sent them to the website. It did not send them to Amazon. It did not send them to some other platform. Um, the idea was, yeah, they may still go back and buy where they are familiar and comfortable, and that's fine. I still want to get the sale, but I'm doing everything I possibly can to get them into the channel that makes me the most money. So you have to make a strategic call on that as to how much effort you want to put behind one or the other. But for me, I always just tried to get everybody to buy through the area I was going to make the most money.
Okay. Hopefully that answers the question for the attendee.
Hmm.
The next one is this person is launching a hair product business. Is there any suggestion for uh,
What, what type of business was it again?
hair product business?
Hair
So
products?
yeah, so is there other suggestions about where to start, especially when you talk about e-commerce?
Sure. So normally with any product, I would say, get the website set up first, make that your foundation to receive the traffic. So when someone sees say a demonstration of the product or hears of the product or maybe sees it at maybe you're going to have a pop-up shop somewhere in town, you've got a website that can receive that, people can make a purchase. So that's the first step. The next step would be find the platform that best highlights that product online. So this might be an Instagram moment, this might be a reel, this might be, something along those lines that allows you to show or demonstrate the use of the hair care products. And really find that one that targets that niche user that you may have. I mean, I don't know the extent of the product that you carry, but maybe it's only for younger folks, or maybe it's specialized for a particular group or a particular um, uh, situation with hair. Then find out what platforms those folks hang out on and target that platform specifically. Please don't try to be on all platforms. That's just way too much time and effort. Be on the platform that your people hang out on.
Okay, thank you. That is
Mhm.
helpful. Um, there is also a question about getting the slides after the webinar. So
Yeah,
um, we are trying to request the attendees to reach out to the speaker. So is it okay if we ask them to reach out to you for the slides?
that's that's fine. Um, I have information on SBA myself. Here's the last few slides. I'll just go ahead and cover that real quick.
Okay.
If you're looking for additional information with regards to other training, a few classes, we do topical training. There's several coming up at many of the libraries in and around the area. I know we're doing some additional classes with SCORE here. We do team up with our resource partners a lot, so you will find us with the SBDCs, with SCORE, the VBox and women's business centers out there a lot as well. So check out their websites, check out our calendar, which if you look right here at sba.gov/sc, about 2/3 of the way down the page, you'll find our training calendar there. And we do try to carry all of the classes upcoming from our resource partners there as well. So watch those closely. You'll be able to find maybe some of those topics that I was talking about earlier. So, um, as I said, my office is in the Spartanburg area. Certainly, I can work virtually. So, not sure where everybody is coming in from on today's call, but certainly do feel free to reach out to me, and I will be happy to take a phone call, maybe do a virtual session with you, and help you with your e-commerce plans. So my contact information is now on the website or on the page. You can see it there. Take a snapshot if you like, and reach out to me if you can.
Yeah, and thank you. And we have put your contact information in the chat window too. So if anybody wants to copy from there, that will be
Yes. Mhm.
one way to go. Um, this is very helpful. I think one person is marketing on the chat window, so that's another
Okay.
comment. And the person also asked, should the person use the personal social media page to connect with customers or no?
Personal social media versus business, I would suggest splitting those out, especially um, if your your personal interactions on the social media platform might venture too far away from what the purpose of the business is. Um, it's just a good practice to keep them separate. Um, and you will find that it's much easier to market from a business standpoint on the business channel as opposed to the social or the personal channel. The people who are following you personally that have an interest in your business, they'll make the move over to the business channel. So that shouldn't be a problem for you.
Okay, thank you. Um, And I just wanted to remind the attendees that the recording will be available on the YouTube channel of Piedmont's Core Chapter website. You should find the link and the icon for the YouTube channel and other social media sites if you want to reach out to us. Um, I don't see any other questions, but there are thank you notes for you. So
All
thank you,
right.
Earth. And if there are
Happy to
no
do
other,
it.
thank you. I appreciate that. Um, and if there are no more questions, I think we can wind up this webinar.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye bye.